Hi, I'm Dr. Joseph Walker, and I'm a local dentist in Cleveland, and I've been working for 43 years. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm currently married to Dawn Walker. We've been married for 31 years, and we have one child. Her name is Jordan Walker. She's 30 years old, and she's in the film industry. I also have two other children, Shamir Walker and Maya Walker. Maya works for a hedge fund in Maryland, and Shamir is a dentist in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's really interesting how she followed in my footsteps. She went to Tennessee State University and Meharry Medical College, where I attended. I am so fortunate Shamir has given me two grandchildren, Corey, who's 4 years old, and Skylar, who's 10. I'm the fourth child of five with two parents, and they were very loving, kind parents. My father was a high school principal and an electrician. My mother was mostly a domestic engineer. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, born in 1955. I went to local schools, public schools in Nashville, graduated from North High School in 1973, went to Tennessee State University, finished that there in 1977. Then I went on to Meharry Medical College, whereby I finished in 1981. It's interesting, since we grew up in a city that has three major HBCUs, which would be Fisk University, Meharry Medical College, and Tennessee State. My grandparents lived close to Fisk and Meharry, which was across the street from each other. So since the 1940s, we chose to pursue those schools and get degrees. So it was a good thing that we were, along with other black families, that we were able to attend those schools and start getting degrees early in the 19th century. Well, my father and mother met at Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee, and later they went to Tennessee State for advanced degrees, and my daddy went to Fisk. My grandparents finished Lane College and in Jackson. And since then, they moved to Nashville and started taking advantage of the local HBCUs in Nashville. But my grandfather was a minister, and on my father's side, my maternal grandfather, he was the deacon of the board of First Baptist Church in Nashville. And my grandmother was, both of them were domestic engineers, and they took care of the family. I've been in Cleveland since 1982, November of 82. I came to Cleveland to work with my uncle, who's a dentist, and Uncle Otis Clark. We call him Uncle Otis. He was one of the first ones that got a doctoral degree from Meharry Medical College in the 40s. Since I moved to Cleveland, I have discovered a lot of people, friends, relationships, and developmental career whereby I've been able to enjoy my personal development, how I evolved as a 68-year-old man. And so I appreciate the experience I've been able to enjoy in Cleveland. Well, I think you need to know where you came from. And you have to understand who you are, what your values are, what your standards would be, as that's been established by your ancestors. I think about confidence building. When I realized that I had two uncles, Uncle Pete, Uncle Otis, they were both dentists, and then I knew that I could do the same. I had confidence that I could accomplish those things since they did. In terms of mentorship in my life, it's hard to say who was my greatest mentor. I've had so many in different areas of my life, personally, spiritually. So it's hard to say that one person that helped me be who I am today in terms of my standards and my values. But I would say, if I had to pick one, I would say my father. My father was a great guy in Nashville. He was a go-to guy in the community. In the 50s, white people would come and talk to him about things that are happening between the white community and the black community. So I appreciate my father. He was a special person in my life. We did a lot of research, Ancestry.com, that kind of stuff. Recently, I talked to one of my cousins in Atlanta, Harriet, and her husband, John, who we tried to research some ancestral people in our lives since the 1600s, especially the white branch of my family, and how it led to slaves 10 generations since then. But it's hard to make that connection of your family member, particularly black family members, prior to the Civil War, because records weren't accurate or kept, and it was hard to know who begat who exactly. But we did identify the Joe Graves, is the ancestor we have, who was freed at 8 years old after the Civil War, and we could trace his family relationship back to Thomas Graves, who's a white man that came from London in the early 1600s. But we don't know the genetic relationship. We don't know who begat who. The name carried on, but we don't know who begat who exactly, genetically. I think in today with the internet, that's a great source to go back and research. The internet is great in terms of birth records and all of that. And then just knowing genetically where you're from, I think it's important to discover who you are and where you came from. A good thing to build and understand who you are as a human being and what you represent and who you represent. I'm very familiar with the African American Cultural Garden. I think it's a great place, and it serves as a monument for our history, for our standards, our values. In other words, it's our legacy, who we are as a people. And we need to understand it. More importantly, our children need to understand who we are and where they come from so they can have greater values, which reflect on their behaviors, you know, what they would or wouldn't do, their moral foundation and all of that. 13 years ago, approximately, I and other people, we started the P22 Youth Foundation. And we take on different initiatives to help with our mission statement. P22 serves to be a catalyst for the spiritual development of youth through Christian-based programs. Every year we take kids on a spiritual camping retreat, and it's a week-long, it's free, and we're able to take them out and have a fun camping week. But we get the opportunity to share with them, to love them, to teach them. We have a service in the morning and a service in the evening, and in between that they do all kinds of fun camping activities. And so we kind of try to bring down their hard exteriors and get to their hearts and let them talk. And we go out Sunday and we come back on that Friday. About Wednesday night, they drop those masks and they come to us to ask us all kinds of touching questions where we could really address them. We don't address those issues. We don't use any shame and guilt. We just teach and help them to find their way. And if you want to discover more of it, the website is P22Youthfoundation.com. And other things that I do, it's not associated with P22 Youth Foundation, but I go to the Dominican Republic every year to do the Doctors Without Borders work. We go off into the sugarcane fields where people out there slaving in the sugarcane fields, making $8 a day. And they live in shacks. And with an organization that I joined called Meeting God in Missions, we go on the back of trucks and on these long dusty roads, and we unpack all of our gear, and we render dental care, medical care, entrepreneurship. We repair their homes from hurricanes. We bring food and clothing, and we do our best to share Christ with them and give them hope that they could survive what they're living through. So it's amazing to pull up and watch those people in the sugarcane fields. It's as if I'm going back in time, and as if I'm watching our people in the cotton fields. So I get a chance to love on them and help them. Sorry, I do get emotional when I see that. If you could see what that looks like, you understand what we've gone through and how our people survived and got us to where we are now. I've been fortunate to be growing up in a city that has HBCUs and to have 13 doctors in my family, with other people, lawyers and judges, and all on the backs of our people surviving. So let's go back to the African American Cultural Gardens. We need to understand what that represents, because it represents all of that. And we need to understand how important it is to have monuments that express who we are, where we came from, all the stuff that happened to get us to where we are today. And me as a Christian, I think our greatest monument is the cross. And for African Americans, if we can create a cross, something we believe in deeply, that's important to us in terms of who we are and who we can become, it's important to have these monuments that exist. And we have one right in Cleveland. We have a monument that tells us our history, makes us think about who we are and put things in context. I think in terms of your human development as Black people, we need to contextualize it, to understand who we are and where are we going, and to find this way to love each other, respect each other, be kind to each other. So I think that to have these monuments and have those discussions as we're visiting these monuments is extremely important.